Most people accidentally stumble into bad habits. But what if you could engineer them in others with the precision of a behavioral scientist? I spent 2 years studying habit formation to improve my own life, then realized, what if I use this knowledge for evil? Today, I'm teaching you exactly how to systematically destroy someone's sleep schedule and install doom scrolling addiction using peer-reviewed research. By the end of this video, you'll understand the exact psychological triggers that make bad habits irresistible, why your brain is essentially a hackable machine, and walk away with a scientific framework that could turn any subject into a sleep-deprived, phone-addicted zombie in under 30 days. You're about to become an expert in behavioral sabotage, armed with techniques so effective, they're basically illegal in most therapeutic contexts. Let me introduce you to the science of systematic life destruction. Before we begin our experiments, we need to understand exactly what we are working with. Your subject is essentially a walking collection of neural pathways waiting to be rewired. And thanks to 2 researchers, we have the perfect blueprint for hijacking their brain. Charles Duhigg discovered that every habit follows a simple 3-part loop. Cue, routine, reward. But here's what most people don't realize. This loop can be weaponized with surgical precision. The genius isn't just that habits can be built, they can be installed in others without their conscious awareness. Every habit starts with a trigger, followed by automatic behavior, ending with a reward that makes the brain want to repeat the cycle. Dr. Arnold Lemke revealed something even more sinister. Dopamine, the neurotransmitter driving all addictive behaviors, isn't about pleasure. It's about anticipation. Your brain releases dopamine not when you get the reward, but when you expect it. This is why slot machines are more addictive than winning the lottery. Uncertainty keeps your brain constantly flooded with anticipation chemicals. Even more disturbing, the more dopamine hits someone gets, the more their brain adapts, requiring bigger hits just to feel normal. This creates dopamine debt, a state where your subject needs increasingly intense stimulation just to avoid feeling terrible. Here's the beautiful part. Once you understand these mechanisms, you can systematically exploit them. You're not just building habits, you're creating addiction pathways that make your subject crave the very behaviors that destroy their well-being. Think of yourself as an architect. Duhigg gave you the blueprint, Lemke provided the tools. Now, let's put them to work. Our first experiment focuses on the most efficient cognitive destruction, transforming your subject into a compulsive phone user who literally cannot stop scrolling. Phase 1. Environmental setup. The key insight from Lemke's research is that addiction thrives on unpredictable rewards. Your job is to create an environment where your subject's phone becomes an irresistible slot machine of social validation. Start by casually mentioning interesting content whenever they're not using their phone. Oh, did you see that video about? Always reference content they need to find on their device. You're training their brain to associate phone usage with social connection and missing out. But here's the sophisticated part. Vary the timing. Sometimes, mention something immediately when they pick up their phone. Positive reinforcement. Other times, wait until they've put it down, then share something they missed. Punishment for phone absence. This creates a variable ratio reward schedule, the most psychologically compelling type of habit reinforcement. Phase 2. Social pressure integration. When you're with your subject, check your own phone frequently, but make it look productive. Respond to messages with visible satisfaction, laugh at content they can't see, make concerned faces at important notifications. This triggers their brain's social mirroring system. Humans unconsciously copy behaviors that appear to provide social advantage. Your phone usage becomes their template. Phase 3. Dopamine debt acceleration. Start engaging with your subject's social media actively. Like their post immediately, comment thoughtfully, share their content. Their brain gets accustomed to this social reward pattern. Then gradually reduce your engagement. Like post less frequently, delay responses, stop commenting. Their brain, now adapted to higher dopamine levels, will demand increased phone checking to chase the social validation they are no longer receiving predictably. Within 2 weeks, your subject will be checking their device compulsively, scrolling for hours, and feeling anxious when separated from their phone, all while believing this behavior developed naturally. The beauty, it uses their own social connections against them, turning normal human needs into technological dependency that's incredibly difficult to break. Our second experiment targets the circadian rhythm, your subject's internal biological clock. Destroying sleep creates a cascade of poor decisions that make every other bad habit easier to install. Phase 1. Light Pollution Protocol. Sleep destruction begins with understanding that human brains are controlled by light exposure. Your subject's brain produces melatonin, the sleep hormone, based on environmental light cues. Disrupt these cues, and you disrupt their entire sleep architecture. The strategy: normalize bright screen usage in their evening environment. When spending time with your subject after sunset, always have screens active. Laptops, phones, TVs. Make these devices central to your social interactions. Watch videos together. Show them content. Suggest late evening research sessions for shared projects. You're hijacking their social needs to deliver the light pollution that will suppress their melatonin production. Phase 2. Schedule chaos integration. Suggest spontaneous late-night activities, quick trips to 24-hour stores, impromptu movie nights, late dinners that won't take long. Always frame these as exceptional, fun experiences rather than routine behavior. The psychological key is variety and social pressure combined. The logical brain knows late nights are problematic, but the social brain doesn't want to seem boring or unavailable. Phase 3. Morning routine sabotage. Create morning obligations that require coordination with you. Early coffee meetings that get rescheduled, group activities that depend on your availability, shared transportation that's unreliable. This prevents them from establishing consistent wait times. Occasionally be very available for morning coordination, providing unpredictable positive reinforcement for being flexible with their schedule. This creates intermittent reinforcement, the most psychologically compelling reward pattern. Within 3 weeks, your subject will have no consistent sleep or wake times, disrupted melatonin production, and a brain that associates bedtime with social availability rather than rest preparation. Here's where the research gets truly disturbing. Bad habits don't just add up, they multiply each other's effects through habit clustering. When your subject's sleep is deteriorated, their prefrontal cortex, the brain region responsible for decision-making, literally shrinks. This makes them more vulnerable to every other bad habit. Poor sleep doesn't just make them tired, it makes them neurologically incapable of resisting the doom-scrolling addiction you've constructed. Duhigg calls this a keystone habit, except we've created a keystone bad habit. Sleep destruction becomes the domino that knocks over rational decision-making, emotional regulation, and behavioral consistency. Lemke's research shows that when someone's dopamine system is hijacked by phone addiction, their brain becomes less sensitive to natural rewards. Conversations, physical activity, creative projects, even food starts feeling less satisfying. This pushes them toward more intense digital stimulation just to feel normal. Your subject doesn't just develop bad habits, they lose the ability to enjoy healthy alternatives. They are not choosing doom scrolling over going for a walk. Their hijacked reward system has made walks feel unrewarding compared to artificial dopamine hits. The scientific term is anhedonia, the inability to feel pleasure from normal activities. You've essentially given your subject mild depression by systematically rewiring their brain's reward pathways. Most insidiously, they'll experience this as personal failure rather than systematic manipulation. They'll believe they lack willpower, creating shame and self-blame that makes recovery even more difficult. Now here's where things get interesting. If these techniques are so effective, and if most people stumble into bad habits accidentally, what if someone's already running this program on you? Think about it. Right now, who in your life consistently creates environments that make your healthy habits harder and your destructive habits easier? Who suggests activities right when you're trying to establish beneficial routines? Who sends you content at times when you're trying to focus or rest? Here's the uncomfortable question. If you mapped out the last month of your life, whose influence correlates with your worst behavioral choices? When do you scroll mindlessly? After whose text or calls? In whose presence do you abandon beneficial routines? Who makes consistency feel boring and impulsive choices feel exciting? The most powerful manipulators are often unconscious ones. People whose own poor habits create gravitational fields that pull others into similar patterns. And here's the really unsettling part. What if some of this manipulation isn't even coming from people? What if it's being systematically deployed by apps and platforms themselves, using algorithms to keep you scrolling, shopping, and consuming? The techniques we discussed aren't just theoretical. They're actively being used on millions of people every day by systems designed to capture and monetize human attention. The question isn't whether you're being manipulated. The question is, by whom, how systematically, and are you aware enough to recognize it? So, let me ask you, who do you think might be running behavioral manipulation programs on you? Who in your life makes your good habits harder and your bad habits easier? Drop a comment and let me know, because recognizing the pattern is the first step to breaking free from it. If this made you see something familiar in a completely new way, hit subscribe. There's a tiny bit more where this came from. Once you start seeing, you can't unsee. See you in the next video.